All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Los Angeles City Board of Public Works meeting for Friday, October 29th, 2 days from Halloween 2021. I hope everyone is doing fabulously. And Dr. Campos, it looks like we have quorum.
Yes, we do. Good morning, Mr. President. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. Establishing roll call and quorum for this morning. We have President Good, Vice President Garcia, President Pro Tem Davis, and Commissioners Caloza and Villegas. Mr. President, you do have a quorum this morning. We're also joined today by our General Counsel, Mr. Ted Jordan. This morning, at this time, we currently do not have any callers on the line under general public comment. We also do not have any commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment section. In addition to that, no commentary for any of the items for today's agenda.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Campos. Why don't we take real quick the minutes from Wednesday, October 13, 2021. I'll motion to approve those. Do I have a second?
So moved.
Second.
All right, I'll take, I got a second from Villegas. Any concerns or objections, Davis, Garcia, or Caloza?
None for me.
All right. Hearing no objections, the minutes from Wednesday, October 13th, 2021 are adopted and approved forthwith. Okay. All right, folks. Now for, well, all of our work is exciting, but a particular import and excitement for today. Today we celebrate, recognize, and embrace Filipino American History Month. It's a fantastic opportunity to celebrate really amazing folks who are part of the marrow of our city, and the marrow of our city workforce. We have a great presentation ahead. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over the gavel to Commissioner Caloza, who's going to lead us through this celebration. And you take it away, Commissioner.
Thank you, President Good. Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Happy Filipino American History Month. I'm sure my colleagues feel like every day is Filipino American History Month with me. I wouldn't be doing my job if it didn't feel that way. But I'm really excited to continue the celebration today by recognizing a few of the outstanding Filipino American women and men from the Department of Public Works for their achievements and contributions to our beautiful city. As you all know, or if you didn't, you definitely do this year, that Filipino American History Month is celebrated all throughout October. And it commemorates the arrival of the first Filipinos in the continental United States on October 18, 1587. The first annual celebration was held in October 1992 by the Filipino American National Historical Society, also known by the abbreviation FONS. This year, their theme is 50 years since the first Young Filipino People's Far West Convention, in honor of the 1971 convention that is considered really the beginning of the Filipino American movement. In 2009, this month was recognized as Filipino American History Month by the United States Congress. And this is an important time to honor and recognize the contributions of Filipino Americans, both past and present, who have made a positive impact on society and enriched our nation. From the first Filipinos to arrive in the United States who showed resilience and perseverance, to the farm workers who helped build a movement, striking and organizing alongside Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta, like Larry Itliong, whose name you may not have heard, but a name that I know so many of us in the community keep on saying because he was right there alongside Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta fighting for workers' rights. More than 500,000 Filipino Americans call LA County home. And we are the largest population of Filipinos outside of the Philippines. And we are the third largest ethnic group in California after the Latino community and the African American community. In Los Angeles, Filipinos have played a significant role. According to city historians, and many people may not know this, but a Filipino man named Antonio Miranda Rodriguez was part of the original 12 pobladores who founded Los Angeles in 1781. he was referred to in the original documents as Chinito. And so originally people thought that maybe he was of Chinese descent, but we later found out that he was actually Filipino. So since the very beginning, LA's large and vibrant Filipino-American community have continued to make major contributions to our city's history, our culture, and our economy. In the last 19 months specifically, I want to really thank all the public servants, both Filipino Americans and everyone in the Department of Public Works, for putting your heart and soul into the work that we do. You have been the frontline workers, the essential workers, who have been working nonstop to provide critical services to our 4 million residents. And I also want to acknowledge at this time our Filipino nurses and healthcare professionals who have played a dramatic and extraordinary role in saving lives and in protecting our community during the pandemic, because we know that the nursing industry, the healthcare industry is very much dominated by many Filipino American nurses, both women and men. And so thank you for your sacrifices that you've made to protect us and our families. Today, our honorees from the Public Works family, as I mentioned, are also essential workers and have adapted to new ways of doing business, continuing to deliver high-quality city services for maintaining our streets and sewers, fixing potholes, removing graffiti, installing streetlights, building bridges, and so much more. We draw the strength from the diversity of our workforce through our elected leaders who champion this diversity, like Mayor Garcetti. And I want to thank our great mayor for uplifting so many Filipino Americans in key positions. I myself am very privileged to be one of those people to serve as your first Filipina American on the Board of Public Works. And I know that he has championed so many of us to break the glass ceiling for our communities, and specifically Filipino women. And I know that we will be the first of many. So thank you, Mayor. The additional notes that I also wanted to share, in case you may have seen some of the great work our Public Affairs Office, namely Diana Bolnes and Sandro Donato, have been putting together amazing graphics online and sharing photos from our different events. But we've partnered with so many different departments because we're not able to do as much programming in person to really celebrate and say thank you to our Filipino American public servants, specifically in the city of LA. Earlier this month, we lit up the pylons at LAX for the very first time in the colors of the Philippine flag. So thank you to LA World Airports, Justin Urbachi, the CEO. This week, thanks to the mayor and council member Mitch O'Farrell from the 13th District, we have been lighting up City Hall in the colors of the flag, and you'll get to see it throughout the weekend. Metro, thanks to the leadership of Chris Liban, who's an executive at Metro, as well as Stephanie Wiggins, also lit up Union Station through the end of the week in the colors of the flag. And we also have the 2nd Street Tunnel, which is being lit up by our very own Bureau of Street Lighting and our first Filipino-American Bureau Director, Miguel Sangalang, who you'll hear from later today. And so, before I would turn it over to our first speaker, I just want to say how proud I am to be part of our Public Works family and to celebrate this really important day. I'm just sad that we're not able to do it in person and throw a giant Filipino party in our Board of Public Works hearing room, but I will keep my fingers crossed for next year. So for those tuning in and watching and listening, thank you so much for joining us. And we celebrate diversity in all cultures, not just in October or specific months in Public Works, but we celebrate them every single day. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to another champion of so many communities. Somebody that is my office mate is Commissioner Mike Davis, who serves as our President Pro Tem, to introduce our first honoree.
Thank you so very much, colleague Commissioner Jessica Caloza. And specifically, let me thank you for coordinating this year's Filipino History Month. I want to first thank Mayor Eric Garcetti. For every year, we create an environment where every culture can be recognized in the city of Los Angeles. And we dedicate an opportunity to focus and learn from each community, each culture, and the contributions that they have made to Los Angeles, which help make our city great. Today is no exception. When we look at diversity, racial equality, and equity, we think about the recent policy that Mayor Eric Garcetti has implemented, Executive Directive 27. And this effort that we're celebrating today is reflective of those values that the mayor continues to lead us in. Jessica, it is my honor to present the first honoree from the Bureau of Contract Administration, Mark Gutierrez. He is a management analyst, and Mark has served as Bureau of Contract Administration's Office of Contract Compliance for 15 years. He started his career in the city of Los Angeles as an administrative clerk with the library department in 2005. He was then promoted to management assistant with contract administration in 2006, where he's continued to advance his career, ultimately promoting to the level of management analyst in 2014. Mark has been assigned to the business inclusion section since 2006, where he has continued to serve a critical role in the review and final approval of Board of Public Works advertised and awarded contracts. He's been heavily involved in the development of new business inclusion section staff, providing leadership and training on how to accurately and properly review an advertised request for bid or proposal to determine the lowest responsible bidder. Mark's detailed, orientated, and meticulous traits have proven to be a great asset, as he has worked with more than 40 departments every year to prepare and submit the Bureau of Contract Administration's annual local business preference program and that report to our council. Though he is quiet and reserved and always extremely effective in his role and maintains a great disposition and willingness to help others, Mark is continuously able to perform at the highest standard, even when handling multiple critical time-sensitive assignments. In his spare time, Mark enjoys spending time with family, and he is a Lakers fan who loves playing and watching basketball. Mark has been a tremendous asset to the entire Bureau. We are grateful for his service and proud of his continued success. It is my honor to present our honoree for Bureau of Contract Administration, Mr. Mark Gutierrez. And I think it is appropriate for us to share with you remarks from the leader of the Bureau of Contract Administration, none other than John Reamer.
Good morning to everybody, and happy Filipino American History Month recognition to all of our department family. This is absolutely awesome. Commissioner Caloza, you've outdone yourself as you always do, and you're absolutely correct. Every day with you is a day recognizing who you are and where you come from, and I am not mad at you for that. To our president and to all of the commissioners, thank you so much for taking the time to acknowledge the wonderful staff in the Bureau of Contract Administration, but the Department of Public Works, and Mark Gutierrez. Mark, smile, brother. you, you deserve this. And look, I'm joined by our newly appointed Assistant Director, Raul Mendoza, and Hannah Choi, none other than, just to recognize this young man right here. Mark, everything that was said, it comes from our heart because you play such a critical role in what we do in the Bureau of Contract Administration and in the city of Los Angeles. We coined the phrase, we want to make lives better as we make things better, and you are so deeply involved in that. The notion of business inclusion, and it is our mayor's heart to make sure that when we contract in the city of Los Angeles, that we reflect this city, we reflect the makeup of the city. And your part in that, to make sure that negotiation and good faith take place. And for a long time, that has been the biggest, not challenge, but dartboard, if you will. People have thrown darts at the notion of good faith and good fake. And no, you make sure that it's not fake, it's real. It's very real. And that you identify those who want to so they can have an opportunity to be involved in the process. I'm so proud of you. You're a father. You've demonstrated yourself. You've been with us for 15 years, as was alluded to, and most recently, you really showed out. You ranked really high on the senior MA exam. And I can't go into that, but I can say this. It's reflective of what you have brought to this bureau and to this department and this city. I can't imagine your family not being proud of you because I am. I am so honored to be able to just celebrate you today. So Mark, congratulations. So congratulations for who you are. You not only represent yourself, you represent your family, but you represent your heritage, where you come from every single day. You come to work and you recognize and you represent. So I applaud you. Man, I'm so happy for you. I really am, Mark. Thank you for all that you do, and congratulations for everything that you brought to our lives.
Thank you so very much, Inspector General John Reamer. And he did recognize our new Assistant Director, Raul Mendoza, whom we've had the pleasure of working with prior in Public Works Administration. But we're so pleased to see him as the new Assistant Director. And I would certainly be remiss if I did not acknowledge the distinguished Assistant Director Emeriti from the Bureau of Contract Administration, Hannah Choi. Thank you so much, Hannah, for being here. And at that, it is my honor to ask the man of the hour, our honoree, Mark Gutierrez, for remarks.
Awesome. Thank you, Commissioner. Thanks, John, Hannah, Raul, my mom. Contract administration is comprised of just over 300 people, and over my 15 years in the Bureau, I've had the opportunity to work with many amazing individuals from our director down. One realization that I've had during my tenure here is that what we've accomplished thus far and will continue to is very rarely the result of any single individual's work. I'm very grateful for that and truly appreciate working and collaborating with all of my colleagues in the Bureau. Just want to once again say thank you for the recognition and that it's very much appreciated. Salamat.
Thank you so very much, Mark, for your outstanding service. And we look forward to not only recognizing you today, but for the work that you have done in the past. We're grateful and we look forward to continuing that work in the future. Thank you so much and congratulations.
Thank you too, appreciate it.
And anybody who can pull Hannah Choi out of retirement for the morning, I mean, my goodness. Superstar, Mark, superstar.
Yes, yes.
Exactly right. Thank you so much, President Pro Tem Davis, for that amazing first honoree. Congratulations to you, Mark. We are so proud of you, and I see you as like, you have really difficult items, I have to say, when you come to board. You don't have the easy items. And you're so quiet, as was mentioned, but you're like a silent assassin, because you go in there and then all of a sudden nobody has any more questions because you have answered everything before we could even ask you anything. So thank you for your tremendous service. The work that you do benefits not just the city, but so many small businesses who get to do the work that they do because you're at the table. So thank you so much for your work.
Thank you.
And next, the second honoree, I have the pleasure of introducing. Unfortunately, she had a family emergency this morning. So I'm going to make this extra special for her because she gets to watch this recording afterward, which means that we can embarrass her a little bit more because she won't be in the Zoom. And I would like to call Robert Katamatsu from the Bureau of Engineering to join me on our virtual stage here as the representative for BOE today. But I'm really honored and privileged to introduce Annalyn Rosillo, the Senior Management Analyst from the Bureau of Engineering. Annalyn is a leading example in her field in championing diversity and inclusivity in the workplace. She is currently a Senior Management Analyst 2 in the Administrative Division and manages the recruitment, training, and administrative services sections with a total of 14 full-time and 4 part-time staff. With her enthusiasm and desire to take on new challenges, Annalyn also serves as the Bureau's Gender Equity Liaison in the Mayor's Office and serves on the Racial Equity Committee, a work that I know is so important to me and to so many people on this board. Prior to joining BOE, Annalyn worked at the Housing and Community Investment Department, managing the city's network of community centers that help low-income residents increase their economic opportunities and domestic violence, emergency, and transitional shelters. She also served as the Senior Director of Community Development Policy and Programs for then Los Angeles Mayor Antonio Villagrosa, where she worked with city council offices, city departments, community stakeholders to develop and facilitate the adoption of the city's 5-year consolidated plan that funded community, economic, and housing projects. Annalyn worked tirelessly to make significant impact on improving equity and increasing diversity throughout the entire Bureau of Engineering. Her warm and positive demeanor has also been key in managing the continuing reductions to our staff while implementing efficiencies and maintaining critical bureau-wide services in the administrative division, which has been really important, as we know, as our entire department and the entire city has dealt with people retiring due to the separation incentive program, of course, the impacts of COVID-19, and Annalyn's work is right in the heart of that. So Annalyn, I'm so sorry that you couldn't be here today because of a family emergency, but we want to thank you on behalf of the entire Board of Public Works for your incredible service to not just the city of Los Angeles, but to the entire Filipino and Asian American community. You are a fierce Filipina, and I am so proud of you. And with that, I get to introduce the second person who will embarrass you a little bit more when you watch this later is Robert Katamatsu from the Bureau of Engineering. He's our Chief Administrative Analyst and also the Division Manager of our Administration Division. Robert, take it away.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I agree with you. Annalyn would be a little bit embarrassed, but she was very happy to receive this recognition. So I want to take this opportunity to thank Annalyn and express my sincerest appreciation for the energy she brings each and every day to my division and our Bureau. Since she joined us from housing more than 7 years ago, Annalyn has taken on difficult and challenging assignments and continues to be a dynamic leader in our Bureau. I also want to commend Annalyn on her relentless efforts to increase diversity and improve equity within our Bureau. We can already see improvements throughout, but I know Annalyn's not done yet, and she will continue to fight and work tirelessly toward more significant improvements throughout our Bureau. So congratulations, Annalyn, on your accomplishments and for your recognition today. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you so much, Robert. And I also want to thank our city engineer, Gary Lee Moore, for championing all equity and diversity initiatives in the city, and for, he couldn't be here today, but also a champion of the Filipino American community. So thank you so much, Gary. And thank you, Robert.
You're welcome.
So let's give Annalyn a round of applause. Give her some love when she watches this. Thank you. Our third honoree will be introduced by President Greg Good. Take it away.
Thanks, Commissioner Calosa, and congratulations, Anna Lynn. Wish you could be here with us, but hopefully enjoy this recording. So congratulations. And indeed, it is my distinct pleasure to move to our honoree from the Bureau of Sanitation. And today we're going to recognize Mark Lansing, who is management at the Bureau of Sanitation. That is Mark. Hi, Mark. And hi, Lisa. Hi, Sherry. It's good to see y'all. Brother Mark, congratulations. LA Sanitation and Environments, the Bureau of Sanitation's Mark Lansing is known for his can-do attitude and willingness to help everyone. He began his career with the City of Los Angeles more than 18 years ago. You do not look like you've been here for 18 years, for the record. Same with Mark, by the way. But began with the City of Los Angeles more than 18 years ago, starting at the Chief Legislative Analyst's office as a clerk typist, promoting to a senior clerk typist with the Bureau of Street Lighting, then joining LA Sanitation as a management assistant, where he has been for the last 16 years. Mark is currently a management analyst with LA Sanitation's Administration Division. His invaluable knowledge and expertise in purchasing and budget has been a tremendous asset across the Bureau of Sanitation. He exceeds expectations and always goes above and beyond what is asked of him. Mark was one of the first of the Bureau of Sanitation's employees to volunteer as a disaster service worker during the COVID-19 pandemic, and was instrumental in organizing the distribution of appreciation bags for all of the Bureau of Sanitation's frontline staff and PPE kits for office staff. That's awesome. Mark's parents opened one of the first Filipino food restaurants in Queens, New York in 1973. He grew up working with the family business selling Akoi or veggie fritters, barbecue, and lemonade at street fairs in New York City, which helped pay for college. It's a great story. Everyone in the Bureau of Sanitation offices always looks forward to Mark's cooking, the very best foods such as adobo and Akoi, whether a fellow employee is retiring, hosting fundraisers, or celebrating the holidays. Mark is always happy to cook for the entire office. You know where this goes, Mark. I just want to, I just need to flag that. I'm prepared to feign retirement if necessary, or whatever we need to do. And then family hospitality and food are at the heart of Filipino culture, and all of those things exemplify Mark as a Filipino American, and shares and qualities and commitments and loves that he shares with his family. Congratulations, Mark. It's really a pleasure to have you here, and it's great to hear your story. New York boy, good to hear it. And again, the invitation is open. But with that, before we get you on the hook, I want to introduce Lisa Mowry and Sherry Kuroki, who want to sing your song as well. So take it away, Lisa and Sherry.
Good morning, everyone. Lisa Mowry, LA Sanitation and Environment. I very much appreciate the board giving us these opportunities. Sometimes they're great because I get to learn about employees in our very large organization who I'm not as familiar with and whose work it's exciting to learn about. Other times it's employees like Mark who I have had the opportunity to know and appreciate the work. And both of them are very valuable. As President Good alluded to, whenever there's a special project, some sort of critical activity going on, Mark's never very far away. In fact, when we were talking about this meeting, I told Sherry, make sure Mark knows it's okay to take some time off from working on the Hyperion reimbursements He really can take a little time to enjoy this because he has the kind of dedication. I could absolutely see him saying, no, I can't take time off for that. Mark's leading the unit that's doing the hotel reimbursements, which are the most complicated ones that we're doing right now, which just goes to show how much trust and faith we have in him and how willing he is to throw himself into something that is new and difficult and complicated, and he just does it. And those are fantastic types of employees for us to have around. Now I'll turn it over to Sherry as well.
Hi, Mark. So, anyways, yeah, I could be on this in this meeting for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, talking about the great qualities of Mark. He's a fantastic employee. A few years ago, he was actually Admin Division's first recipient of the Employee of the Year Award. So I'm so happy that he's being recognized again for all his hard work. Very dedicated to the city, to LA Sanitation, to Public Works in general. Mark and I actually talk every day, on nearly every day. We chat nearly every day regarding this hotel reimbursement. So I've gotten to know him both personally and professionally. He's got a very admirable work ethic. He's liked by everyone. He has a very pleasant demeanor, so everybody really likes him. He likes everyone. I can attest to his great cooking. I've attended the meetings at the Media Center, and actually whenever I hear there's going to be a meeting at the Media Center, I'm thinking, ooh, is Mark going to make something? Because I have to make sure I'm there. I've never had his Filipino food. I love Filipino food, Mark. So I don't know where you live, though. But if you ever shoot me your address, I'll be over there in 2 seconds. Except for I don't like diniguan, so don't give me diniguan. But I love adobo, okay? But anyways, and just in addition to the cooking thing, Mark used to work in the airline industry. So I think he always has his ear out for the great deals. And if it wasn't for Mark, I would never have been able to book some really cheap tickets for my daughter's flight back from Colorado for Thanksgiving break. So thank you very much, Mark. I really appreciate it. Congratulations. And this recognition is very well deserved. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, President Good, Lisa, Shari. Thank you for recognizing, celebrating the heritage, and really putting a spotlight on the contributions of Filipino Americans to city government, and also for what they do for the community. For me personally, my journey as a Filipino American started when my parents migrated to the U.S. in 1972. They left everything behind, bringing only like a suitcase and their strong work ethic and a warm heart. They had a feeling there would be something better for us here, and I want to honor their sacrifices and dedicate my work to them. Thank you again for this special recognition.
And clearly they brought skills too, which they transferred to you. And I see Mark's also an emotional man, not unlike myself, and I appreciate that. So congratulations, Mark. It's a real pleasure to have you on here, and thanks for taking a break. We look forward to in person and all that apparently means when you work with Mark Lansing. So, but in all seriousness, congratulations, and really appreciate all your great work. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you again.
All right, Commissioner Calosa.
Thank you, President Good.
Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, Lisa.
And Mark, if you can come back on the screen a little bit, I was going to say something about you. Embarrass you just a little bit and just have a moment of point of privilege here. But as some of you all may have seen, we did do an event with the mayor earlier this week for Filipino American History Month. And just like everyone has already said, Mark is the first person to volunteer. Mark reached out immediately and said, what do you need? What do you need help with? And I was like, well, it's raining on Tuesday. We have to decorate the Pico house in the rain. And, yes, we need some extra hands. And he went above and beyond helping us decorate, bringing additional drinks, bringing brownies to work. If you were here in the office this week and had a brownie, you've met your baker. It's Mark. And I just want to thank you for all the heart that you bring into this job that are beyond any job responsibilities that are written down on paper. And you make us all feel like family. So I just wanted to thank you for being an exceptional public servant and for being a role model for so many people. So thank you, Mark. And I'm sorry if I embarrassed you. I just wanted to share that, so thank you.
I didn't realize he was the author of those brownies. They were quite popular over here, Mark, FYI.
Congratulations, Mark, and thank you again, President Good, and thank you, Lisa and Sherry, for joining us. Next up, I'd like to introduce our Vice President, Aura Garcia, to introduce our honoree from the Bureau of Street Lighting.
Thank you, Commissioner Calosa. And before I go to my double whammy of recognitions of Filipinos, I want to recognize you, Commissioner Calosa, for all your leadership role, for your active role in making sure the Filipino community is well highlighted, well recognized, and really well deserved with everything you do. So congratulations to you, Ms. Calosa, for all your work this month. Yay. So I'm like triple whammies here. Second, I'm also going to take a few minutes to recognize our Director of Bureau of Street Lighting, Mr. Miguel Sangalan. Mr. Miguel Sangalan is our first Filipino to run our Bureau of Street Lighting. But even before that, he was Deputy Mayor for Mayor Garcetti, which is a very high executive position that requires so much knowledge, but Miguel Sangalan has an enormous experience, a huge capacity, and his in-depth leadership makes him very special to not only run this department, but just in general. But also, just I'm going to take a few more minutes to say this, Miguel, about you. Not only does he have a great leadership skill, not only is he really capable of doing this, he's really good with money. He's a really great dad and a great husband. And I see it every day when I talk to him, when we're in meetings, when we went to do a community cleanup. He just really emphasizes the family world. And so having those two family and being a very high level person in our second largest city of the nation really is to be commended, Miguel. So I know that most of our conversations about work and getting it going, but just 2 seconds to just say congratulations for your achievements, and congratulations for being the top head of your street lighting for the city. Yeah, to Miguel. And I have to say, because you're a Filipino and you recognize another Filipino within your bureau, that means that this Filipino is amazing, awesome, and well-deserved with this recognition that he's about to get. So Mr. Francis Mejia, Senior Storekeeper for the Bureau of Street Lighting, welcome. It's good to see you. I'm happy to meet you. I don't think I've met you in person yet, but I'm more than happy to do it. But this is colleagues, Mr. Francis Mejia from the Bureau of Street Lighting is an exemplary public servant who has had a long journey to get to where he is today. Mr. Mejia is the youngest of 12 siblings. He was born and raised in Manila. He attended Manila High School, the first science high school established in the Philippines. In 1990, Francis graduated from the La Salle University, receiving a degree in communication arts and becoming a researcher at one of the local TV stations in Manila. Only a year later, he moved to the United States with his family and found a job in logistics at an apparel company. During this time, he furthered his knowledge in logistics and attended classes at UCLA Extension. Throughout his career, he also worked at Updike Logistics and was responsible for managing JPL NASA's inventory. That's big. In February of 2016, Francis started his career with the City of Los Angeles as a storekeeper for the General Service Department, supporting the Bureau of Street Lighting. He was then promoted to a senior storekeeper position within the Bureau of Street Lighting in 2019. Francis is known as a hard worker who is always willing to help with any issues. He has played a major role in addressing backlogs and issues from before his time with the Bureau. Francis is a huge asset to the Bureau of Street Lighting, and this recognition honors his contributions to the Bureau and to the city. For that, we recognize you today, Mr. Francis Mejia, and applaud you for all your accomplishments within the city. Yay. Before we get to you, let me get to Mr. Sangalan to say really good things about you. Mr. Sangalan?
Thank you very much, Vice President. I was not prepared for that, so thoroughly embarrassed. But I did want to share one of my favorite stories before I go into Francis. And there's a story of a president that had gone to Houston for one of the NASA facilities there and asked what one would perceive to be a janitor there what their job was, and they responded, it's putting a man on the moon. And I think that Francis is that type of person. He's incredibly reliable. That is the same adjective or descriptor that most of his colleagues will share of him. He's always there, picking up the phone, answering you when you need assistance, always ready to lend a helping hand and helping his fellow employees. One of the things that I think is important too, especially since there's so much frontline field work that is dependent on it, he helped eliminate massive backlogs in the warehouse. And that is not an easy task when talking about paperwork and trying to keep things straight. That matters a lot in order for us to do the things that we do in the field. And then finally, just one of the last things I want to share for him, while no personal story is a carbon copy of another person's, I do feel as an immigrant myself, and like many of our city family, the Filipino brothers and sisters, Francis' story is one we all can relate to. And I think that there's a big thanks that we all should give for all the ates and kuyas that did come before, setting up and pioneering life here in America for all of us. So Francis is one of those people, and for that, I also thank you, Francis. One other piece of embarrassment, actually, since we're on that kind of hit, we are joined by his family, who also works in our proud Board of Public Works. So wanted to give her a shout out for keeping him straight and making sure that he's on time and doing all the right things. So with that, I hope, Francis, you continue a long service here or anywhere in the city. I know you're going up and up and up. So would love to continue having you here, but I know anywhere we'd be lucky to have you. And I would like to give the floor to you, if that's okay, Vice President.
Yes.
First off, good morning, distinguished leaders of Public Works, ladies and gentlemen. Truly, I'm humbled by this honor, and I have no words to express my appreciation for this wonderful recognition. And then I thank you. As an employee, we just try our best. We come to work every day prepared as we can be, and just do our job. And I thank Public Works, especially street lighting, for giving me that opportunity. And I enjoy working with street lighting every day, and that alone is truly a blessing. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mejia. What an honor to have you on our department and within the Board of Public Works, and definitely for the city. Thank you for your time, your work ethic, your just everything. You could just see, we're not seeing you in person, but I can feel it from the screen of how good of an employee you are. And Mr. Sangalan did a great description of you by saying what he said. So thank you so much for your time. And with that, Ms. Calosa, Mr. Sangalan, thank you, and back to you.
Great, thanks so much, Vice President Garcia, and congratulations again, Francis, on the excellent service that you provide to the entire department and the entire city. We're so proud of you. Next, we will introduce the honoree from the Bureau of Street Services, and I would like to bring up Commissioner Teresa Villegas to do the honors.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Calosa. Congratulations for an excellent job throughout October celebrating Filipino American Month. It's true what they say. When I started working for the city, this is a city family. It feels like it, and it feels that just like our other celebrations, this feels also just very family oriented and very personal. So I appreciate that we're doing this, and I think that just the bureaus and I think our Public Works family express that type of commemoration to our honorees today. And with that, I'm the liaison for Streets LA at the Board of Public Works, and it's my distinct pleasure and privilege to introduce our honoree for today, Miss Anna Tabuena Ruddy from Streets LA. She is a role model for women in architecture. She is a landscape architect of more than 15 years of experience, both in the public and private sector. I love working with Anna, and I am so fortunate that she is at Streets LA and involved with this type of work. I feel like I'm always talking to her, and we're always exchanging all kinds of information. Her current role with Streets LA is a landscape architect too, and it includes grant project development and interagency coordination in advanced planning and grant management division. Anna leads her team in seeking large-scale grant funding in the range of $20 million to $50 million to implement improvements in city street networks that integrate urban greening, stormwater capture, active transportation, and placemaking. She has been integral in securing over $100 million in grant projects. Did you all hear that? $100 million. That's huge, Anna. You are awesome. And that includes multi-benefit projects along Broadway in South LA, multiple corridors in Canoga Park. Additionally, she's played a key role in developing new landscaping standards and coordinating new landscaping policy throughout the city of Los Angeles. Prior to this role, Anna was in Streets LA Design Build Group, where she designed and managed $12 million for Measure R and copper projects funded by Metro Gold Line, Eastside Access, and Eastside Light Rail pedestrian linkage projects. That includes first and last mile street improvements and placemaking along the arts corridor of Boyle Heights. Streets LA is so proud to have Anna on their team, as am I. It is my pleasure to present her with this recognition for all of her hard work that helps improve the city of Los Angeles. Thank you doesn't do justice. Congratulations, Anna. And I think we are going to let Keith say a few words. Keith, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Calosa, for putting this together, and Commissioner Vegas for that introduction. There's not enough to say about Anna. Her work is recognized internationally, worldwide, for the Canoga Park Urban Cooling First and Last Mile project, which Streets LA won an award for that project. So that just, shows that how, instrumental her work is in improving the public right-of-way. There's no detail that's too small. Her creativity, her leadership, her communicating, working with, your board office or with council office or with community groups is just, instrumental and valuable. And, we appreciate the work that she does at Streets LA. She's that professional person that's willing to step up and basically do what's needed to get the job done. We look at Anna for future, leadership roles within the Bureau of Street Services where she can become, potentially say that next general superintendent, for the future of the Bureau, because we looked at people like Anna, that is willing to basically think outside the box, be creative, and basically, show people how to get the job done. And, the way she does it, she's a, very, that pleasure to work with, that doesn't describe Anna. She's always professional, courteous, and dealing with, the public and just different folks throughout. And it's that appreciation too is like, sometimes it's like, she makes people feel good about the work that she does and about her. in what she does, for this organization and for this city. She, bringing all that grant money, she improves the lives of the community and improves the lives of people within the city. So thank you very much, Anna, for your hard work, your efforts. I look to see more, from you at Streets LA. Like I say, in those future leadership roles, that's very important, to myself and this organization and to the city. With that, thank you.
Thank you very much for all the nice sentiments that we've heard today. I'm wearing my special Filipino blouse for the occasion. I'm really honored to be here today, and I thank everyone responsible for this recognition. I'm touched with the sentiments I've heard for my fellow Filipino Americans as well. In my 9.5 years in the city as a landscape architect, I've been lucky to have such great colleagues, not just within Streets LA, but across other agencies. An approachable and engaged board and council offices that share my passion for providing holistic, multi-benefit projects in our street network. And so I just look forward to many more years of service for the city of Los Angeles. Thank you again.
Congratulations, Anna. Thank you so much, Commissioner Villegas, and thank you, Keith and Stephanie, for being here with us today. I'll also share that I was working with Anna recently as well. She reached out for a project that she has coming up in Eagle Rock, and she reached out to me wanting to do more outreach, which I loved. You don't hear that too often, and she said that she looked at the work that they did, and she realized that they didn't hear from a lot of families, women, small businesses. So she was looking to see who wasn't at the table yet. And I love that, that she was so proactive in making sure that she brought more people to the table and was so inclusive and intentional about the work that she does. And that's why you're so good. Everything you do is with a purpose and with a goal, and it's to make everything better. So thank you, Anna, for your service. And next up, last but not least, I should say, I'm going to introduce Dr. Fernando Campos, who is going to do the honors for our board office honoree. And you got to do unmute, Dr. Campos. We almost went without the meeting without an unmute.
You of all people.
Right. And I'm trying to control the panel here, so I apologize for that. But thank you, commissioners, again, and thank you for taking the time to celebrate Filipino American History Month for today. It's a great occasion to celebrate all the wonderful men and women that are joining us today. And the Board of Public Works may be the last, we may be the smallest, but we are the mightiest in the Department of Public Works. So go Board of Public Works employees. I am going to add Mr. Tanyata, who is our person who we're recognizing this morning. And I'm also going to add in TJ Knight, our Assistant Executive Officer, that will join me this morning to recognize Mr. Tanyata's great work with the Board of Public Works. Norman Tanyata has served the City of Los Angeles for about 17 years. He has constantly and consistently proven himself to be a hard worker and a dedicated public servant. Beginning his career around 2004, he was a clerk typist working in the customer service section of the Los Angeles Convention Center. He was then promoted to a management assistant position with the Bureau of Sanitation. So Norman does have history with the Department of Public Works. During his 4 years working with the Bureau, he was promoted to a management analyst position and provided administrative support to the Solid Resources Collection Division. Norman went on to work with the ITA, the Information Technology Agency, on the FMS Project Management Office, which is our financial management system, providing administrative support to the Financial Management Support Implementation Team. In 2010, Norman transferred to what is now known as the Economic and Workforce Development Department, where he provided administrative and budgetary support. In 2019, he was promoted to a senior management analyst position here within the Board of Public Works, where he provides financial management support of the Public Works Trust Fund. Norman is a fund manager or revenue manager. He manages a plethora of funds. The most, a big one that we know here at the Department of Public Works is the Public Works Trust Fund. But his entire portfolio can range anywhere from 15 to 20 funds. Public Works Trust Fund is just one of those. In his entirety, his portfolio that he manages is anywhere from $250 to $350 million that he manages for the entire city. And without his help, we would not be able to move forward with all the great work that we have done within the Public Works Trust Fund and other funds that he also supports throughout the years. Norman is also an active member of the Public Works Grants Task Force and also the Food Recovery Task Force that he is a critical member of. He spends his free time on photography, which is one of his passions. He is also a huge, huge sports fan. And the Dodgers and Clippers are his favorite local teams, as you can tell in all the background that he has of his bobbleheads and his bobblehead collection. If you get to work with Norman, you know every time you go in there, it's go Dodgers, right? We are happy to have Norman on the team and are very appreciative of his hard work that benefits the Board of Public Works and the City of Los Angeles. One of the great things that pops out to me and reminds me of Norman is his dedication and his thoroughness to his work and his hard work that he does throughout the entire days here at Public Works. He makes working fun at the Board of Public Works. In fact, just recently we were having a meeting, and I meet with Norman every other day probably, or sometimes even daily, regarding financial management and just finding revenues for the city. We're always looking at ways to create revenues, generate revenues, find revenues. And so I mentioned to Norman that he makes work fun. So Norman, thank you for bringing that joy to what we do. I know that it's a difficult task. Financial management, fiscal management is something that you have to just be passionate about, but you make work fun. And I think that's something that's really important to highlight. Also, his sense of humor. He has a great sense of humor. And for those of you that get to work with Norman, he has a great sense of humor, and he just makes things fun altogether. And he takes a very hard discipline, finance, and he makes it so easy to understand and follow through. And so I appreciate that in Norman's tenacity and his dedication to work. Last but not least, his reliability, dependability, and also his ability to explore and research. So he's really like an explorer. To me, he's an investigator. He's always doing forensic analysis, whether it's forensic accounting, forensic finances, or just forensic decision making and figuring out like what is happening over the city of Los Angeles over decades, 30, 40 years, and he's puzzling everything together and stitching things together to make sense so that we can move forward. Some of the tasks take months, some of the tasks take years to get to fruition. However, I think that he makes it so easy, but I know it's extremely complicated. So with that, Norman, thank you for all the hard work that you do. Congratulations on your nomination and your recognition. And Maraming salamat po, Norman. And with that, I will allow Mr. TJ Knight to say a couple of words about our honoree.
Thank you, Fernando. Thank you, Dr. Campos. And as this recognition for the Filipino American History Month has progressed, it's really awesome to hear praise from my fellow Public Works employees. It's special to me because I've had the pleasure of working with a number of this morning's honorees. But I do want to congratulate Norman Tanyata for being an integral team member and leader in the Board of Public Works. And I apologize if some of what I'm saying is repetitive to what Dr. Campos just said. But every year we go through the budget prep process, and Norman is just so calm. He is the calm in the eye of the budget storm, and he's a reliably calming influence. So I look forward to our meetings. One small example of Norman's hard work that I want to highlight and can't be overstated is Norman's dedicated management to the Public Works Trust Fund. And it has huge benefits for the Department of Public Works and our constituents. Norman is a huge Clippers and Dodgers fan, and I'm very happy for his recognition from Commissioner Caloza and Dr. Campos and all of the board commissioners today for Filipino American History Month. Thank you, and congratulations, Norman, on your recognition here this morning.
Good morning, everyone. President Good, Commissioner Caloza, Commissioner Garcia, Commissioner Villegas, and Commissioner Davis. Thank you all for this recognition. When I first heard about this, I was truly surprised, and I am forever humbled by again, this recognition. Thank you for the kind words. It's a tribute to the many departments I've worked with. The years of experience has, again, brought me to this point. And my 2 years with the board has allowed me to learn from so many offices within the board. I wanted to give a special thanks to Dr. Campos and Mr. TG Knight for their continuous leadership and mentorship. I also wanted to thank my staff, Lolita Mejia, who assists me with permit review, Gabrielle Del Barrio, who will be providing grants management and grant seeking for the department and the bureau itself, Kelvin Garvain, who continues to research and do anything and everything related to food recovery. Thank you all for continuing to make me look good. I wanted to also take this time to give a special shout out to the Office of Accounting, especially Evelyn Roque, Jamie Hidalgo, Kelly Wong, Amy Chang, and the rest of Miguel's staff, without whom my work and output related to the Public Works Trust Fund would not be possible. I so wish that we were able to celebrate in person. As usual, usually following this meeting, there would be a free lunch in City Hall patio that would consist of pancit and lumpia. So I'm definitely going to probably go to have that for lunch after this meeting. So again, thank you for that. And again, I appreciate the recognition, and mabuhay.
Lasted pandemic.
Thank you so much, Dr. Campos. Thank you, TJ. Congratulations, Norman. And I love how in us trying to thank you and embarrass you for your service, you chose to spend your time thinking everyone else around you and your colleagues. So I think that's so telling of how you work with others and how you put the team first, which is really important to acknowledge in this work, that we couldn't do this without each other. And so thank you for your tremendous service to the entire department. And thank you for managing our money so well.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Norman.
Thank you.
And so I do have some closing remarks, but I do know that some people may drop off. So if you're an honoree and you're still listening, which I think you are, if you spoke, or if you even just want to be in this, typically part of our culture is to take like one giant photo at the end. Since we can't do that, if I can just ask everyone to turn your camera back on so we can take one big Filipino group picture before I kind of close this out, because I want to make sure we remember this moment because it's special, and this is really important. This is our special time dedicated to thanking our incredible team here at the department. So let me see. Somebody just dropped off. Somebody got shy because somebody disappeared. So I'll do a 3-second countdown. If you want to turn on your camera.
Give me a couple more seconds, Commissioner Caloza. This is Dr. Campos. I just want to make sure that I convert this to gallery view so that you can have as many folks.
I can change it on my end.
Because I think I see everybody.
For those following us on Zoom as an attendee in the webinar, so I want them to kind of get to see what you're seeing on your end.
Yeah,
Dr. Campos, I'm happy to drop off my video. I want to, make enough space for your honorees.
If you...
It's perfectly fine to. There's plenty of Zoom squares for everybody. All right, I'm going to count to 3. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Everyone look at your camera and not at your square, okay? I'm going to take one more in case anybody blinked, which is bound to happen. All right, 1, 2, 3. Nice, President Good. Thank you for indulging me, and I'm going to, you're welcome to stay on the screen as I kind of close out our program, like we're in the boardroom. But thank you to everyone who participated in today's celebration, and congratulations to all the honorees. I saw something funny while everybody was making their presentation, but we have 2 Marks and we have 2 Annas who are being honored today, which is kind of funny. So Mark, Anna Lynn, Mark, Francis, Anna, and Norman, congratulations to such well-deserved recognitions. Thank you for your exemplary work to deliver the critical services that make LA run, that make the department run. And because of you, our neighborhoods and our communities are safer, cleaner, and more livable. And we couldn't do this work without you. As a Filipino American, as an Asian American, I'm really heartened by all of your stories, you know, because we've heard it here today, and I'll say it again, but this representation matters because we know that who we are and where we come from and the stories of how we got here and how our families got here is critically important to how we serve. And we've heard that today, that you all serve with your full selves. You bring your family into the workplace. You bring your culture into our workplace. And that's what makes this, as we've heard, a city family. And so thank you all for spending your morning with us. And thank you to my board colleagues for giving me a little bit of time this morning to pay tribute to our incredible Filipino American public servants. And I just want to say happy Filipino American History Month, and that there's so many more people that I wish we could recognize today, but this is just a small taste of all the incredible work that we do. So thank you again for joining us, and have a great rest of your day. And party on Mark when this is all over.
You're on the hook, Mark. You're on the hook. Thank you, Commissioner Calosa. I want to thank you while everybody's still around. Your commitment to the Filipino American community, to the Asian American and API communities, period, and to the community is inspiring. It's a model for me and my colleagues, our colleagues, and I want to thank you for that. And you really did a great job. Thank you very much. We always know, you can count on excellence when you're jumping in. So thank you, Commissioner.
Great job.
Yeah, thank you. To all our honorees, our honors and our marks, congratulations again. We are very lucky, and we're reminded of that on a regular basis. And so thank you for your service to the city, to your communities, and everybody. This is fun stuff. So, and point of privilege, I know that guy Miguel Sangaling a little bit. I've had the opportunity to work with him for years, and he's pretty good. So congratulations, Miguel, and everybody. So with that, all of you, thanks for joining us and giving us your time this morning. It is a pleasure and an honor, and I hope you all have great Halloween weekends. And now we will move back to the more mundane stuff of our work, but not before we take a 5-minute recess for whatever you need to do. So we will be back at 11:32 in the a.m. All right? See you in a second.
Thank you.
Surprise. All good. Welcome back, folks.
Give me 1 second. Mr. President, you are now in record mode, and I can reestablish forum for you if you'd like.
Yes, please do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. It is 11:41 a.m. We're reestablishing quorum. For today, we have President Good, Vice President Garcia, President Pro Tem Davis, and Commissioners Calosa and Villegas. Mr. President, you do have quorum.
Thank you, Dr. Campos. We'll start with item 1. Item 1 is policy number 811, Rules and Regulations, Sewer Repair Financial Assistance Program. Recommending the board, 1, approve the rules and regulations of the administration of the SRFAP, and 2, authorize the Director of Sanitation and designees to apply the rules and regulations for the administration of the Sewer Repair Financial Assistance Program. Recall, colleagues, that this was continued from Wednesday, October 13th, 2021. Ms. Marrero and Ms. Sung, I see, are with us here today. on the item. And I know you gave a presentation last time, but go ahead and do what you will right now, and we'll talk as necessary.
Thank you. Good morning.
Hey.
Good morning.
Lenise Marrero from LA Sanitation and Environment. And I'm joined today once again by Eva Sung, also from LA Sanitation and Environment Financial Management. We are here to request approval for the rules and regulations for the administration of the Sewer Repair Financial Assistance Program. This program is also known as the Sewer Connection Financial Assistance Program in Council files. The rules and regulations establish how this program will be implemented. As we previously presented, the program provides an incentive for customers to televise, or as we refer to it, CCTV, their sewer lateral, and to repair or replace if necessary. Through this program, property owners who have done CCTV inspections of their sewer laterals are eligible to apply for a rebate of up to $300, not to exceed the actual cost of CCTV, and property owners who are approved for the sewer lateral repair or replacement rebates are eligible for a rebate of up to $1,000, not to exceed the actual cost of repairs upon completion of the project and city inspection. Regarding the availability of funds, this was a topic that was discussed at the last meeting. LA Sanitation collected the seed money for this program over a period of 4 years. The money has been collected already. The total funds available for the program are approximately $32 million, and an annual cap of $1.2 million has been established based on legal requirements associated with the use of funds, of these specific funds. With this established cap, the funds for the program will last for about 27 years. The program is open to all property owners that pay a sewer service charge. LA Sanitation will work with neighborhood councils, council district offices, the mayor's office, and other groups to leverage outreach efforts to maximize outreach and make sure that we reach all ratepayers, specifically all ratepayers who are qualified for this rebate. And we will include the disadvantaged communities among all outreach to all ratepayers. This point was brought up in the last meeting. With the funding source, the program will be open to all property owners, available to anyone who pays the sewer service charge. However, we will work with all of the groups that I mentioned to expand the outreach. We plan to launch the program by the end of this calendar year and are currently in the final stages, as I mentioned before, to finalize the online portal. We're finalizing our outreach strategies. This being a new program, there will be opportunities to reevaluate our approach and strategies after the program has been in place for some time. So we plan to revisit whether after the first 6 months or after the first year, depending on the number of applications that we received. We plan to revisit our outreach strategies and look for every opportunity to expand outreach. And as well, we plan to revisit and look at whether the amount of applications that we receive are concentrated in certain areas of the city. We do want to take a look after we start receiving the applications to see if we need to shift gears and focus our efforts on certain areas or communities. With that, I conclude my presentation and would be happy to answer questions today. We also have Eva today who can answer questions.
Thank you, Ms. Marrero, and it's good to see you. It's good to see you, Eva. Colleagues, we'll open it up. President Pro Tem Davis, any questions?
No, so we will start this program right away. Is that right, pretty much, in terms of implementation?
We will be launching by the end of the year. We still have some final touches on the online portal and still have some logistics to work out with all of the offices involved. So we hope to be launching by the end of the year.
Okay, so I think that this is a great program. I understand that when we implement it, it is a program from which we have received ratepayer money from every ratepayer from every side of town. And so the implementation, therefore, has the burden to be objective as well in terms of the accessibility to the program for every community. We certainly hope that those who are most in need will find the need to participate. And then, of course, those who can afford it, don't need it, will act accordingly, hopefully. But that in terms of what we do, we're going to implement this program in a fair way to every side of town, to every citizen that's in the city. Is pretty much the posture that we have in the execution of the program. Is that pretty accurate?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you, and thank you, Ms. Moreto, for your explanation again. I did get a chance just to debrief a little bit on this project, and I really appreciate it. I don't have any questions, just to comment, use us for any kind of outreach that you'd like, to elaborate on. We have a good PIO system ourselves, commissioners also have a good network, just offering that as additional resources for you.
Thank you. Very much appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Commissioner Coloso.
Thank you, President Good. Thank you, Ms. Moreto, for your presentation today. And I know, Ms. Sung, you presented as well to us last time. I appreciated you going over some of the questions that we had and concerns from the last hearing. And I feel like you did a great job explaining some of those questions that we raised in terms of, what communities are included, right? The outreach components. So I don't have any questions for you today since we, went over a little bit of that in your, like I mentioned, your presentation addressed them. Just to piggyback off of what Commissioner Villegas said, related to just offering outreach, it would be great to see how your implementation is going. I don't think it's necessary to do anything specific to agendize it for the board, but maybe via email. You can share how the program is going, whether or not we need to do anything more to adjust, as you mentioned already with outreach. If you can just keep, I'm sure the board posted, maybe send it to Dr. Campos about what that numbers look like for applications and what you're learning and seeing, knowing that this is a program that we mentioned last time that took, if I remember correctly, 10 years to make. And so we want to get it done right. And now the hard work begins, right, which is the implementation part. So that would be my ask and request from you moving forward for this. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Coloso. Vice President Garcia.
Thank you, President Good. I don't have any questions. I just want to compliment Lenise and Eva for taking the time of going back and reviewing everything we discussed last week and bringing it back forward to us and with more expansion. So I just want to say thank you for that. And that's all. I don't have any questions or concerns about this.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Yeah, I would just echo, thanks, y'all. We had lots of questions and inquiry in the first round, and y'all didn't blink. There's lots of complexities to this, and you got us all a deeper understanding. I want to thank Dean Hoppenstand and also Ted Jordan as well for their work on this. I know Adina put a lot of time into this, and Ted just followed stuff up. I'm just giving you a hard time, Ted. So thank you all very, very much. My no question, really just a comment, and it really sort of it channels a lot of what my colleagues brought up, which is like with any program like this, the data counts so much, and so really do look forward to looking and seeing what the impacts are and who's affected, et cetera. It's going to be meaningful and important for sanitation as it evaluates this on an ongoing basis. So we look forward to seeing that and being kept apprised, which I have zero doubt y'all will do. So thank you, Ms. Marrero. Thank you, Ms. Sung. Thank you, Ms. Hoppenstand. And I'll motion to move the item forward. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. And Dr. Campos, can we take a roll call vote, please?
Absolutely. There's been a motion by Commissioner Good, seconded by Commissioner Garcia to adopt report item number 1, establishing policy number 811. We will take the vote now at this time. President Good.
Aye.
Vice President Garcia.
Aye.
Commissioner Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Caloza.
Aye.
And Commissioner Villegas.
Aye.
The motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Mr. President, would you like to consider this item to go forthwith?
Yes, sir, please.
Thank you.
Ms. Marrero and Ms. Sung are red hot, ready to go. We know that. So absolutely, forthwith, if that's possible.
Thank you.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
All right, y'all have great Halloween weekends, okay? Okay, so Ms. Wiles, are you here on our next several?
That's correct.
I was going to say, I hope you had some water and readied up because you were in the on-deck circle multiple times now. So we will be methodical, and we always appreciate your reports and having you here. So good morning, and we'll jump right to item 2. Item number 2 is a contract acceptance, Wilshire Boulevard Bus Rapid Transit Communications Upgrade Phase 2 Federal Project, CA-03-0815, recommending the board accept this contract. Take it away, Ms. Wiles.
Okay, good morning. Stephanie Wiles with the Bureau of Contract Administration, here to recommend the board accept this contract that was issued September 25th, 2017 in the amount of $2,563,285 even to Select Electric Incorporated. The project essentially included upgrades to the traffic signal modifications throughout Council Districts 1, 4, 5, 10, and 11. There was a contingency amount of $256,329, increasing the authorized budget to $2,819,614. On September 12, 2018, the board increased the contingency funding, giving a revised authorized budget of $3,024,676 even. There were 23 change orders, also increasing the contract amount to increasing it by $401,300.97, giving the total cost of the project to $2,964,585.97. The project was completed at 15.66% above the awarded amount and 2% below its authorized budget. There were several unforeseen conditions changing the scope of work that led to the increase in the awarded amount. Essentially, existing facilities were deteriorated, and that increased the scope of work. Final corrections, and the project was essentially completed January 10, 2019. Retention release was performed February 25th, 2019, and there were no disputed funds or anything withheld, therefore no funds due to the contractor. And that completes this report.
Thank you, Ms. Wiles. Any questions, colleagues? Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Got Davis with a second from Vice President Garcia. Dr. Campos, you want to give us a roll call on this?
Absolutely. There's been a motion by Commissioner Davis, seconded by Commissioner Garcia to adopt item number 2, contract acceptance. We will take the vote. President Good.
Aye.
Vice President Garcia.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Caloza.
Aye.
And Commissioner Villegas.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous.
We can move it forthwith.
Thank you.
So, thank you, Dr. Campos. You know what I'm going to do, colleagues, I should have done it in the first place, kind of make your life easier, Ms. Wallace. I'm going to take 3, 4, 5, and 6 together. So I'll read the items in the record, and then you can just roll with it, Ms. Wiles, okay? Okay. Item 3 is a contract acceptance, Terminal Island Water Reclamation Plant Phase 2, Advanced Water Purification Facility, Microfiltration Unit Addition, CIP 5259. Recommended the board accept this contract. Item 4, contract acceptance, Miller Way, 1451 North, bulkhead replacement and Magnolia Drive, 8500 debris barrier. Recommending the board accept this contract. Item 5 is a contract acceptance, Terminal Island Water Reclamation Plant Dissolved Air Flotation Thickener Modification, CIP 5224. Recommending the board accept this contract. And 6, contract acceptance, Northeast Police Station Parking Structure, 3353 North San Fernando Road, Los Angeles, California, 90065. Recommending the board accept this contract. Ms. Wiles, why don't you go ahead and present on these, and we will take them as a whole.
Okay, so I'll start with item number 3, which is in Council District 15. Steffi Wiles again, Bureau of Contract Administration, requesting the board accept this contract that was awarded on October 8th, 2019, in the amount of $2 million even to Evoca Water Technologies. On July 31st, 2020, it should be noted that the board approved a motion to transfer the contract from Evoca to Film Tech Corporation. The project was completed February 18, 2021, and essentially it upgraded the microfiltration unit and required appurtenances at the treatment plant. 2 change orders were issued, decreasing the contract amount by $111,897.41, bringing the total cost of this project to $1,888,102.59. The project was completed 5.59% below the awarded amount and 14.18% below its authorized budget. Final corrections were completed and the project essentially closed February 18, 2021. There are no funds disputed or withheld, therefore no funds due to the contractor. These funds came from the Sewer Construction Maintenance Fund, Green Bonds, Fund number 75R. It should be noted also that the project was a sole source contract due to the proprietary nature of the equipment, and therefore there was no business inclusion requirements for this project. There are no unresolved property owners' complaints in connection with the project, and that's concluding item number 3. Next, we'll go on to item number 4, which is Miller Way bulkhead replacement. Again, Steffi Wiles requesting the board accept this contract, which was issued through the Emergency Geotech Structural Construction Services contract and awarded on April 29, 2020 to Jilk Heavy Construction, Inc. on a competitive basis in the amount of $457,580 even, with a not to exceed amount of $549,096 even. The notice to proceed was issued on May 26, 2020, and the project primarily consisted of 2 sites. The one on Miller Way was basically the replacement of an existing bulkhead with all of the requirements there, cast and drill hole beams, precast concrete flagging, and curb and gutter, a new metal beam guardrail. The second site was Magnolia Drive, 8500 block, and that entailed removal of eroded soft material and scaling, installation of a debris barrier, and K-rail. There was 1 change order that was issued for the project, decreasing the contract amount by $9,777.83, bringing the total contract to $447,802.17. This project was completed at 2.14% below the awarded amount and 18.45% below the not to exceed amount. The final corrections were completed on February 19, 2021, and all of the retention was released on February 26. There's no funds disputed or withheld, therefore no funds due to the contractor. Because of the emergency nature of the work, there's no specific MBE or WBE participation levels. And then the funds were provided in SB1 Road Maintenance and Rehabilitation Fund number 59V, Department number 50, account number 50 SKZR. And that is item number 4. Moving on to item number 5, another treatment plant acceptance. This one here was executed by this board on August 23rd, 2017 in the amount of $720,730 even to PPC Construction. And this was essentially the upgrade and replacement of the existing dissolved air flotation thickener pumping and pressurized systems and appurtenances. The project had a contingency of $144,146 even, giving the total authorized budget of $864,876 even. On November 26th of 2018 and July 21st, 2020, the board increased the contingency funding, giving the revised authorized budget of the project to $1,383,386 even. There were 15 change orders issued, increasing the contract amount, bringing the total to $1,383,385.90. The project was completed and basically all the retention was released for the project January 14, 2021. There are no funds disputed or withheld, and therefore no funds due to the contractor. The funds were provided in the wastewater capital improvement project program budget, and that concludes that item. Last on our agenda for acceptances is the Northeast Police Station parking structure found in Council District 13. This contract was executed by this board October 31, 2018 in the amount of $11,183 even to McCarthy Building Companies Incorporated. The project consisted of a construction of a parking structure with 240 parking spaces built at the location of the new Northeast Police Station. There was a contingency amount of $1,118,300 even, giving the total authorized budget of $12,301,300. There were 24 change orders increasing the contract amount, and the new cost of the project was $11,368,916.74. The project was actually completed at 1.66% above the awarded amount, yet 7.58% below its authorized budget. The finals final corrections were completed September 30, 2020, and that's when the job closed. All retention was released, and any disputed funds due the contractor January 27, 2021. There were no funds or disputes withheld, and funds were provided from fund number 298 in the MICLA fund, appropriation number 50 NPAT. The contractor could comply with all of the equal employment opportunity and labor compliance requirements. Mandatory subcontracting minimum requirement was 15%. They exceeded that. And it should be noted that during the initial course of the project, the contractor had difficulties meeting the PLA requirements. However, at 50% completion, the project achieved compliance, if not exceeded compliance in all of the 3 mandates. And the Office of Contract Compliance Labor Compliance section has reviewed this file and confirms that there's no other labor issues relating to this project. There's no undisputed or unresolved property owners' complaints in connection with the project, and that is the last of that. And please accept everything. Thank you.
Well done. Thank you, Ms. Wiles. I must congratulate you on your closing. Please accept everything. All right. Any questions on items 3 through 6, colleagues?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Davis?
Yes, thank you so much, Mrs. Wiles, for this report. Wanted to just get some clarification on a couple of the items. On item number 5, how many change orders did we have on 5? Did you tell us?
On item number 5, 1 second, Commissioner.
I believe there were 15.
There was 15, yes.
We had 15 change orders, and we originally started out with $700,000 on the project.
Correct.
And we ended up with $8 million on the project. Somewhere around in the ballpark.
Can you repeat
I said, did we end up with, I guess, the cost on the
It was
project?
1.3 million, yes.
1.3 million, okay. Now, did we have business inclusion in that particular project, number 5?
Yes, we did.
We did have business inclusion on that one. And how did we do in terms of the results that we were able to get now?
We actually did very well.
Okay, great. So we were able to get small and emerging businesses to get work on this project?
That's what it reflects, yes, in the table.
And how much percentage of small businesses were we able to achieve?
It states here 8.85%.
Okay. Okay, so that would be small businesses, 8%, approximately 8% small businesses got an opportunity to do work on that one.
That is correct.
Okay, any other variable of business included? For example, did we have any emerging businesses or women-owned businesses that got an opportunity as well?
I do not see any totals for those achieved. For the minority business, women business, there was other business at 2.03%. And unfortunately, Ms. McQuinn, she's not here to provide any additional on that. However,
Okay, no, that's good. I just wanted a clear understanding. Now, in terms of item number 6, the parking lot, this was not a project where inclusion was required. Is that correct?
no, sir. We did have inclusion on that.
Oh, we did.
Yes.
And could you share with me summarily what kind of inclusion we had?
Absolutely. So essentially, the participation levels that were achieved were 11.69% for the minority business enterprise.
Oh, great.
0.97% for women. 10.3%.
How many percent for women?
Almost up 1%, sir.
1% for women.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's say 1%.
10.32%
small business.
Oh, great.
Yes. 1.28% emerging, and almost 1% at disadvantaged veteran, and 24.21% at other business enterprise.
So we had this was a federally funded project, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so I'm sure we did well on that one. Now, in terms of project labor agreements on this one, this was a project that was identified for project labor agreement participation. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct.
And so could you describe for me the results of that involvement of project labor?
So there's 3 tables within the board report, and the first mandate, local hiring. It states here the local hiring percentage mandate is about 30%, and this contractor achieved 31%.
Okay.
On the local apprenticeship program, the mandate was 50%, and they did achieve 50% on that one. And
Okay, so go ahead. I'm listening.
On the disadvantaged hiring, the transitional worker percentage was a mandate of 10%, and they achieved 14%. So it was very good.
Okay, wonderful. So I'm very glad to see about the inclusion there. And obviously, when we do construction work, we never know. It's almost like a box of chocolate. We never know which one has the nut in it. So we never know how many additional barriers that we're going to confront. Therefore, we never know how much money we're going to have to come back to request to fill that unexpected pothole or whatever it is in which we have to confront to complete the project in a safe way, in a timely manner, and within budget. Well, I guess within budget is out the window when you get to these barriers that you confront. And we did confront a lot of barriers in this particular project. I'm talking about project number 6. Is that correct? We had a lot of unexpected barriers to complete this project. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so that clears up for me my better understanding of both 5 and 6, and I thank you for sharing the information with me. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Davis, thank you very much. Any other questions on 3 through 6, colleagues? All right, I'll take a motion to approve items 3 through 6.
So moved.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Do I have a second?
Actually, President Good, it's 2 through 6, just for clarity.
Oh, goodness. I'm gonna, no, we did, remember, we actually, we went ahead and voted on
Oh,
it.
that's right. You're right. You're
It
right.
is 3 through 6. Yeah, it is.
My bad.
Should have included, but we're on it now. So items 3 through 6. So I got a motion from Davis. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Dr. Campos, you want to do a roll call, please, sir?
Absolutely. There's been a motion by Commissioner Davis, seconded by Commissioner Villegas to adopt items 3 through 6. We will now take the vote. President Good?
Aye.
Vice President Garcia?
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis?
Aye.
Commissioner Caloza?
Aye.
And Commissioner Villegas?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Mr. President, would you like to send items 3 through 6 forthwith?
Yes, sir, please.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Campos. Thank you, Ms. Wiles. Well done.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Have a great weekend, okay? All right, folks, that let's actually go to item 8. Item 8 is an authority for expenditure. Clean Harbors Environmental Services, Inc. The Bureau of Street Services and Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $1 million to encumber funds for pumping services and emergency response of hazardous materials, waste management services provided to the Bureau of Street Services for July 1, 2021 to January 31, 2022. Authorize the president or 2 members of the Board of Public Works to execute the contract after approval as to form has been obtained from the city attorney. I see Ms. Chow is here along with Ms. Clements. I know there will be no collective confusion with you two presenting, and so appreciate it very much, and good morning. Afternoon, excuse me.
That's right.
Mr. President, Fernando Campos, before Ms. Chow and Ms. Clements starts their presentation on item number 8, just for the record, we did receive the Executive Directive 3 approval and waiver from the Mayor's office this morning, and we will enter that into the record. Just wanted to notify your board.
Thank you for that, Dr. Campos. All right, Ms. Chow and Ms. Clements.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. So before you is an authority for expenditure for $1 million for Clean Harbors Environmental to provide routine and 24-hour emergency response for hazardous waste management services for the period of July 1st, 2021 through January 31st, 2022. This authority for expenditure is tied to a letter of agreement which has been approved by City Attorney as to form. And as Dr. Fernando Campos had mentioned, we have received mayoral approval for the AFE and as well as waiving Executive Directive 3 review. That was just granted today. The AFE is a stopgap measure to provide a mechanism to pay the contractor until the contract extension with Clean Harbors is executed. And just to provide a little background information, Streets LA had an existing contract with Clean Harbors that expired November 1st, 2020. The original contract had an initial 5-year term through November 1st, 2017, plus 2 3-year options to extend. Streets LA did exercise the first extension option through November 1st, 2020. However, the second renewal option was not exercised in time prior to the contract expiring. However, the board, we did request extension by executing a supplemental agreement to ratify it back through an effective date of November 2nd, 2020 for a 3-year extension through November 1st, 2023. The Public Works Board approved that extension via the supplemental agreement last Friday on October 22nd, and that has been referred to the Mayor's Office for Executive Director 3 approval, as well as City Council approval, as the term would be beyond the 5-year limit that is allowed by board. So the services that would be covered by this AFE is inclusive of pump out cleaning of the La Brea tar pits and oil seepage sumps. Also, pump out and removal of hazardous waste collected in clarifiers at Streets LA 6 city-owned facilities, as well as providing emergency response to spills of hazardous waste materials that may be found on city streets, alleys, as well as sidewalks that may create a threat to public safety and property. So again, this service is a continuing need that that we have contracted in the past. And again, this is merely a stopgap measure until our supplemental agreement actually gets finalized and executed.
Thank you, Ms. Chow.
Thank you.
All right, colleagues, let's open it up for questions. We'll start with Vice President Garcia.
Thank you, Melinda, thank you, President Good, and thank you, Ms. Chow, for your presentation, like always. Point of clarification, you guys were here maybe, what, a week ago or 2 weeks ago on a similar contract? It's different, right? It's
actually for the same type of service. This item or service was actually presented to board on last Friday, October 22nd, and that was disapproved. And that item was for the contract to basically to extend the services of the contract to exercise the second renewal option through November 1st, 2023. So as I mentioned, the original contract had expired on November 1st, 2020. And unfortunately, because we were not able to exercise the second renewal option in time before the contract expired, we had to do a supplemental agreement. And as I mentioned, the board had approved that last Friday. So in the meantime, the contractor has continued to provide services, and we need some kind of mechanism to pay them. So that's the purpose of this AFE.
Okay, so this is kind of the wedge between the continuing of the first year renewal, right? First or second year
renewal option.
Second renewal, okay, second renewal 1 year before we go out to our
3 years.
3 years, okay, got it. Now, got it. Okay, got it. So this is the money you need to pay for the services that they have been actually doing these past couple of months.
Exactly. Okay. So the original first renewal option was exercised, and that expired on November 1st, 2020. Okay. So from November through June 2021, the services were provided through a piggyback on the Bureau of Sanitation's contract. As we've indicated in prior reports, this Clean Harbors contract is actually a piggyback of services that are actually originally executed with the Bureau of Sanitation. The Streets LA piggybacked on their contract by executing its own agreement, but basically under the same terms and conditions. Is that we are subject to our own contract limits, and so there was a separate contract executed specifically for Streets LA. And so because we weren't able to exercise the second renewal option in time, we had asked, and we thank our sanitation partner for actually allowing us to utilize and their services, the Clean Harbor services, for the period covering November 2020 through June 2021. And unfortunately, their contract is, they need the entire contract ceiling for their services, and so they were not able to extend that that contract to us for further period of time. So that's the purpose of this AFE. It's basically to cover us until that extension is fully executed.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Chow, for your explanation and makes it clear. That was really all my questions to you guys. I'm just trying to make it as clear as possible and I understand it's just so many different processes to get to your own contract, but here we're here. All right. Thank you, Ms. Chow, for your time, and Ms. Clemens for your time as well.
Thank you, Vice President. President Pro Tem Davis.
Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate the report. I understood from the last meeting about our arrangement with sanitation and how the contract has allowed us to be able to continue the services we need in street services moving forward. And this is yet but another request to make us whole until such time we're able to negotiate a separate standalone agreement with the vendor for specifically street services moving forward. So I support this effort and look forward to the vote.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Commissioner Calosa?
Thank you, President Good. Thank you for your presentation. Ms. Chow, I think you did a great job explaining this AFB. I believe you previewed it also in the last time we heard you in board. And we had a very robust discussion about the ongoing needs, what happened, impacts of the pandemic on staff capacity. So I have a question for you today. Thanks for all your hard work. And this is a critical contract to meeting the needs of the community and providing critical city services. And thank you as well to Ms. Clements.
Thank you, Commissioner Calosa. Commissioner Villegas?
Thank you. And thank you, Ms. Chow. You so diligently explained everything to us last time and again this time. You're a plethora of knowledge for Streets LA, and it's very evident through your presentation, and you're very thorough. I don't have any questions. I appreciate the explanation that you gave to Commissioner Garcia just in explaining the difference. For different contracts. I too got a little confused. I started looking at the if it was continued, and I'm like, I thought we took a vote on this. Am I losing my mind? But I see that it's similar but different. So I appreciate that, and I don't have any questions for you. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. I have no questions either, Ms. Chow. Your presentation was excellent, and thank you. And I'll take a motion to move the item forward.
So moved.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. And Dr. Campos, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Absolutely. There's been a motion by Commissioner Davis, seconded by Commissioner Villegas to adopt and approve item number 8, the AFE to Clean Harbors Environmental Services. We will take the vote now. President Good?
Aye.
Vice President Garcia?
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis?
Aye.
Commissioner Calosa?
Aye.
And Commissioner Villegas?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous and it's adopted. Mr. President, would you like to consider this item to go forthwith?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. And for the record, we will note the mayor's approval in the journal.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, colleagues, let's go to item 9. Item 9 is a stop notice. NADA Pacific Corporation. NADA Pacific Corporation is transmitting a stop notice in the amount of $476,832.71 for horizontal boring and jacking for LHL USA Inc. in connection with the Machado Lake Pipeline Project, Eastern Reach Project. This is strictly communication. Do I have a motion to move this item, the stop notice forward and receive the file? Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, Dr. Campos, we're going to take a roll call.
Absolutely. Commissioner Villegas, Moved, seconded by Commissioner Garcia to receive and file item number 9, stop notice from NADA Pacific Corporation. President Good,
Aye.
Vice President Garcia,
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Caloza,
Aye.
and Commissioner Villegas.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, let's go back, colleagues, to item number 7. Item number 7 is a motion from the board finding to continue teleconference meetings pursuant to Assembly Bill AB 361. Recommending the board adopt the finding and determination in accordance with AB 361, Section 3E3, that while the state of emergency due to the COVID-19 pandemic, as originally proclaimed by the governor on March 4th, 2020, remains active, and or state or local officials have imposed or recommended measures to promote social distancing, this legislative body has reconsidered the circumstances of the state of emergency, and that the state of emergency continues to directly impact the ability of the members to meet safely in person, and or state or local officials continue to impose or recommend measures to promote social distancing. Mr. Jordan, would you like to give just a brief explanation of AB 361 for us?
Certainly, I'd be happy to. So, during the pandemic, as the board knows, it's been operating under a telecommuting regime, pursuant to certain orders from the governor, suspending those provisions in the Brown Act that wouldn't really permit the type of meetings that we've been having. The state legislature has adopted AB 361, which essentially takes over from what the governor's orders have previously been doing. Brown Act has always permitted telecommuting under certain very, very strict conditions. AB 361, during the emergency, relaxes those conditions, so essentially allows the board to continue the telecommuting meetings as it's been doing. However, under AB 361, when the board, which became effective at the beginning of October, once the board met in a telecommuting fashion, it then creates, AB 361 creates an obligation that every 30 days, the board needs to essentially reconsider whether the conditions that allow for telecommuting continue to exist. In other words, the emergency is still in effect. There are recommendations from the health officials to engage in social distancing. And so that's what the board is essentially doing today. It's reevaluating the conditions that allow for telecommuting continue to exist. If the board makes these findings, then it will be allowed to continue its telecommuting meetings in accordance with the somewhat more relaxed standards that AB 361 allows. So we'll be seeing this item at the board's discretion no more than every 30 days in order to continue to reevaluate the conditions. Are we still in an emergency situation? Are there still recommendations for social distancing? And if that's the case, the board can continue the telecommuting under this regimen. AB 361 had some other changes that aren't really relevant to what you're doing today. So that's the gist of today's motion.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. It's actually very, very helpful. I thought that would be important and beneficial to the public and to everyone participating here. I certainly would suggest for the group that this is an important process to be able to go through. This board takes great pride in transparency and in really doing the public's work in public to the degree that we're able. I know that we all look forward to and have looked forward to the opportunity to carry on our business in person. We're all pining for that moment. However, it is crucial that while we continue to progress through this pandemic, and to reach levels of safety that I think we feel increasingly comfortable with. We are still in a pandemic. Public safety is still, is always paramount, and public safety is still a matter of question with large gatherings, as we all know. And we are also, of course, continue to be subject to emergency order under Mayor Eric Garcetti as well. So I will motion to, and Dr. Campos and Mr. Jordan tell me procedurally that if we're doing this correctly, but I will motion, or I will offer this motion as findings that we remain in a state of emergency that justifies teleconference meetings for the next 30 days for the Board of Public Works. Do I have a second for that motion?
Yes, I Mr. President, second that motion, and I'd like to add that I think that this is a responsible piece of policy for us and the responsibilities that we have. I'm very grateful that we do have technology in Zoom that allows us to continue our business despite the circumstance that we find ourselves in. None of us created this circumstance, and yet yesterday I was informed that even on the private side of things, which is an example of the urgency, we have a company that runs a fast food restaurant who failed to comply with the regulations of the state and the health department, and those stores are going to have to be closed down. This is not something unique to Public Works or the city of Los Angeles. This is a real urgent matter for everyone, not even in California, but throughout the world. So I consider this a very important piece of policy. I consider it to be very responsible. And again, despite the circumstances that we find ourselves in, personally, I'm pleased that we are able to carry on the people's business through Zoom, where they can still continue to participate despite the way that we would be accustomed to handling business. We're not able to do it, but we still are able to provide them a tool to be heard. So I proudly second this policy, and I think it's very responsible on our behalf as members of the Board of Public Works.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Any additional questions or comments? Commissioner Villegas?
No, thanks. I don't have any questions. I know that on other boards that I serve, we do the same action every 30 days. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Colosa?
Thank you, President Good. And thank you for the explanation and presentation of AB 361, Mr. Jordan. I'll just add that I think that the platform, Zoom, and the digital meetings have provided more access, arguably, to more constituents to be able to listen in. I know when we met in person, City Hall is not the easiest place to get to, let alone at 10 a.m. on a weekday. And knowing how long and when the item is going to be heard, sometimes it's really hard to predict. And so I just want to say that I think this is good for more people participating in our process. And I hope that our constituents are able to benefit from this. At the same time, we're keeping our city family, our city team safe. So that's all I wanted to add. And thank you for bringing this motion forward, President Good.
Thank you, Commissioner Colosa. Vice President Garcia?
I don't have any questions or concerns or comments. I think it's well explained, and it's our duty to do this, so glad to do it.
Thank you, Vice President. All right, Dr. Campos, we have a motion from me, seconded by President Pro Tem Davis. Shall we take a roll call on the motion?
Absolutely. And before we take the roll call, Mr. President, Fernando Campos, Executive Officer, just for a point of clarification, our intent is to present this item before your board every 2 weeks, but no more than every 30 days. The rationale behind that is in case there's a holiday or in case there's something that precludes us to meet on that 30th calendar day, not business days, but calendar day. We just want to make sure and ensure that your board can continue these teleconference subject to your determinations and findings. So just wanted to make that clarification for you. Taking the vote now, there's been a motion by Commissioner Good, seconded by Commissioner Davis to adopt the findings and determinations of the teleconference meetings pursuant to Assembly Bill 361. We will now take the vote. President Good?
Aye.
Vice President Garcia?
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis?
Aye.
Commissioner Caloza? You can just unmute your microphone, please. Thank you.
Aye, for the record, that's only like the second time I've done that.
And Commissioner Villegas?
Aye.
Thank you. This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Mr. President, would you like to move this forward forthwith?
Yes, sir, please do. And thank you for pointing that out. We do not want to mess around with the clock, as it were. So doing it every 2 weeks is, I think, the appropriate, responsible, and diligent way to approach it. So thank you, Dr. Campos, and for drafting as well. And then thank you again, Mr. Jordan, for your guidance to all of us in this process relative to 361 as well. Thank you. Okay. So with that, folks, let's move to item, actually that's all of our business items. Let's go to item 10 for our status update on major upcoming street improvement projects from the Bureau of Street Services. Who's with us today?
That would be Saul Almeida.
Hello, Mr. Almeida.
Good morning. Good afternoon, President Good, Commissioners, Bureau representatives, and Dr. Campos. My name is Saul Almeida, Acting Superintendent with the Street Renewal Division of Streets LA. This information is being provided to keep public informed on the upcoming resurfacing projects and to minimize the impact on the community as well as delays. For additional information or concerns, you can contact our coordinator section for the Street Renewal Division at 213-847-3200. The following major projects are scheduled in the Metro and Valley region during the week of October 31st through November 6th. Saturday, October 30th and Sunday, October 31st, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. We will finish coal milling, and paving Los Feliz Boulevard from Riverside Drive to Vermont Avenue in CD4, the Los Feliz Neighborhood Council Pavement Preservation Program Fund. On Thursday, November 4th, and Friday, November 5th, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., we will coal mill and pave Florence Avenue, Central Avenue to Stanford Avenue and CD10, Community and Neighborhood for 9th Unity Neighborhood Council under the PPP funding. During the week of October 31st and November 6th, Valley and Metro regions will complete 14 projects for a total of 21.17 lane miles. The press release will distribute and notifications have been issued. Streets LA coordinated with council offices to assist with outreach to stakeholders. We will coordinate with the Los Angeles Department of Transportation for traffic control assistance. This information is also available on the Streets LA website using the Resurfacing Open Projects icon. This concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Almeida. Excellent report. Any questions, colleagues? All right. Thank you, sir. Really appreciate you being here. Have a great weekend, okay?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. That brings us to item number 11. This is the status of all personnel contract or services contracts per policy number 793. We've got an all-star team from the bureaus here to present to us. Dr. Campos, is everyone on the panel that presents today?
Yes, we will go ahead and add them to the panelists. I am limited to 12, so I'm going to add as many as I can. From the Bureau of Sanitation, we have Ms. Nancy Lanton. From the Bureau of Street Services, Stephanie Clemens, Renee Carrillo, and Melinda Chow. From the Bureau of Engineering, Greg Vandergriff, Willis Huffman, and Richard Louie. There is nothing to report for the Bureau of Contract Administration and Street Lighting.
Okay, let's start with the Bureau of Sanitation, Ms. Lanton and her team.
Good afternoon, everybody. Before I start, can I take a second to thank Commissioner Caloza, President Good, the commissioners for the presentations this morning on Philippine Heritage Month. It's always so great to honor all of the recognize all of the employees from the Department of Public Works. And I'm crossing my fingers. Next year we'll be at City Hall eating pancit and lumpia and having some of Mark's cooking. Thank you. I'll start my report. Sorry. Okay. This is Nancy Lanton, LA Sanitation and Environment. This is our quarterly summary report for the quarter ending September 30th, 2021. For this reporting period, we have billed $12.2 million under our personal services contracts. Total contracts under the old Maybe Weeby program are $5.3 million, and contracts under our business inclusion program is $6.9 million. Under the Maybe Weeby program, we've paid $544,000 under WBE, which is a 10% participation. Under our new business inclusion program, we have paid out 11.3% under MBE, 3.4% under WBE, 6.1% under SBE, 3.1% under EBE, 0% under DVBE, and 6.7% under OBE, a total of $1.6 million. For this reporting period, we do have some contracts expiring. We do report on contracts expiring within the next 9 months. 2 contracts under our solid waste program will be renewed. That first contract is USA Waste of California, DBA Waste Management. That contract is expiring November 8th, 2021. That's for the receipt, processing, and reuse of green material and/or horse manure from our curbside collection program. The board did approve this a 3-year renewal and amendment number 1 to this contract on October 1st, and we are currently awaiting mayor and council approval for that renewal. The second contract is with Electronic Recyclers International. That contract will be expiring June 2022. This is the contract for collection and recycling of our electric e-waste. LA San proposes to exercise a 3-year renewal option on this contract, and that report is scheduled to go before the board within the next month. In our stormwater program, we have 1 contract that is expiring. This is with S. Groner Associates. That contract is expiring June 2022. This is for our stormwater public outreach program. We will not be renewing that contract. We will be utilizing our on-call contract and releasing a TOS to get those services for outreach and public education. In our clean water program, we have 10 contracts that will be expiring within the next 9 months. 9 of those contracts are actually under our on-call for our automation and technology projects. The board did approve a 1-year renewal on that contract, so it's now expiring April 2022. And then we will be going before the board again to amend these contracts so we can extend them for another 5 years. And then we have 1 contract that will not be renewed. This is with RNG Finucchi Farms. That contract expires July of 2022. That's for our custom farming operations at the Green Acre Farms. The board did approve a new contract for these services, and we put on a new RFP in July, and we are waiting for mayor and council approval on that new contract. For sanitation's on-call TOS solicitation update, under those 9 automation and technology contracts that's expiring in April, we did issue 17 task orders under those contracts. We've awarded 11. We have awarded $17.5 million under those automation contracts, and then we have spent 13.7. Subcontractor participation under the on-call contracts for automation and technology. We have 33.4% MBE, 13.9% WBE, 4.7% SBE, 0.2% EBE, 0% DVBE, and 3.2% OBE. Our next set of on-call contracts is our 24 contracts for our planning and technical services, the ones expiring in July 2024. Under these on-call contracts, we have issued $193.8 million and have paid out $142.3 million. Subcontractor participation levels for these on-call contracts are 21% MBE, 7.7% WBE, 22% SBE, 13.7% EBE, 0.7% DVBE, and 17.8% OBE. For the TOSs that are less than 150,000, those are totaling 4.9 million with payment to date 3.8. And for TOSs that have been issued that are over 150,000, and those are the ones that go before board, it's $188.2 million. Payment to date is 138.4. And the report before you also addresses some subcontractor deviation concerns. Most of the deviations on our contracts are through those 24 on-call contracts. And I've reported this in the past, but some TOSs have been closed, and I've noted that was in my report, and why we didn't meet those goals. Some of the reasons have to do with LA Sand performing some of the subcontractor portion on those TOSs. I also want to note that a lot of the TOSs have just been initiated, and therefore few invoices have been received to date. And then we have determined that the subcontractor participation of the project will be utilized later in the project. I also did want to note that due to staff priorities in this first quarter, we were really not able to data entry a large amount of our invoices that are paid both to the primes and the subcontractors, because we do have to manually enter subcontractor schedules into the system. But I do anticipate that in the next following quarters, we should be caught up. And that concludes my report this month. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Lanton. Any questions, colleagues, on the sanitation report?
A report.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Lanton and team. You all have a great Halloween weekend.
Thank you.
And we share
For your report, Ms. Lanton, very thorough.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we share your appetite to exercise your appetite.
You guys really have to try Mark's cooking.
Mark's, to use an old Texas phrase, we have loaded Mark's wagon. That is for sure at this point. So we intend to. We're going to do it. All right. Thank you, Ms. Lincoln. All right. Let's go next to BOE. Who's leading on that? Mr. Louie or Mr. Vandergriff? Or Mr. Huff?
I can start. Good morning, President Good, Commissioners. My name is Richard Louie with the Bureau of Engineering, and today I am reporting on the Bureau of Engineering issued construction change orders less than $150,000 for the period of July 1st, 2021 to September 30th, 2021. So for the period of July 1st to September 30th of 2021, there were 147 change orders that were issued on 29 projects with an aggregate value of $2,690,000, $690,759. And that concludes the oral report for this morning. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Louie. Any questions, colleagues?
No report. No questions. Good report.
Thank you. All right, folks. Thank you, Mr. Louie. Thank you, BOE team. Really appreciate it. Have great weekends.
Mr. President, I believe there may be other presentations. I think there's 3 in total from the BOE team, and each of them will take.
Oh, I forget that. Thank you. All right. Okay.
No worries.
You're good, Mr. Louie. Who's next?
I can go next.
All right.
Willis Huffman.
Mr. Huffman, how are you, sir?
Good. Good afternoon. Willis Huffman, Bureau of Engineering, Wastewater Conveyance Construction Division. I'm here today to present the Bureau of Engineering's construction order report for the period of July 1st, 2021 to September 30th, 2021. This report is in accordance with the Board Supplemental to Proposed Policy 793, which requests a quarterly aggregate listing of construction orders issued under the city engineer's authority of $150,000 for construction services contracts managed by the Bureau of Engineering. Construction services contracts authorize BOE staff to use on-call lists of contractors that provide emergency and as-needed repair services throughout Los Angeles for typically a 5-year contract term. Projects under these contracts are driven by short implementation schedules concerned for the public welfare, unacceptable environmental and social consequences if not urgently addressed. To issue notices to proceed with work on these contracts, we typically utilize what we refer to as construction orders, which is different from a change order. Construction order document typically defines the scope of work, project budget, and method or payment. The report before you includes a list of work orders, title and issuance date for each construction order issued within a quarter under $150,000 and broken down by divisions managing the various construction services contracts. So if we take a look at the report, just starting from page 1, municipal facilities and related projects, there were none issued in this quarter. Emergency geotechnical structural, none in this quarter. Street improvement, as well, none in this quarter. Emergency storm drain repairs, there were a total of 12 issued for the amount of $367,365. Emergency demolition services, none issued. Emergency construction and repair services at wastewater treatment plants, none issued. Emergency sewer repairs, we did issue a total of 106 construction orders, roughly for $3.2 million. So that concludes my report. Are there any questions?
Any questions, colleagues? All right, thank you, Mr.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Huffman, appreciate it. And then who is next? Mr. Vandergrift?
That would be me, President Good. And again, happy Halloween, Commissioners. My report's a little bit longer than my preceding colleagues, so I'll try and make this as quick as possible. For the period between July 1st, 2021 through September 30th, 2021, this is the personal services contracts for the Bureau of Engineering. In our summary of our table of contract activities, we had 22 contracts for which we received invoices, and we had 42 contracts that were invoiced, and for a total of $7,887,446 as of September 30th of 2021. Of those, we had 30 contracts that were MBE WBE, which had an amount invoiced of $872,074. For MBE WBE outreach program, the invoice amount was $180,670, or 20.7% for this period. Under our business inclusion program, we have 107 contracts. The amount invoiced during this period was $5,983,006. Of that, invoice paid to subs was $2,805,086, or 46.9%. For our disadvantaged business outreach program, there were 33 contracts. The amount invoiced this period was $1,032,366. The amount paid to subs was $279,352, or 27.1%. We had no tasks awarded under the MBE WBE outreach program greater than $150,000. We did have 5 tasks issued for contracts greater than, or for tasks greater than $150,000, and those tasks awarded amounted to $85,000 so far invoiced. Under our disadvantaged business outreach program, there were no tasks awarded under this program. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. These were tasks awarded under $150,000. There were 5, and the total amount was $85,000. There were no tasks awarded over $150,000 during this time period. Again, the Los Angeles Business Assistance Virtual Network, or LA BAVN, continues to perform well, and no issues or complaints during this reporting period. We did have several of our pre-qualified on-call contracts lists that were executed this period. First, our environmental documentation on-call list was approved, and there were 11 contracts executed. Our environmental specialty studies on-call list was also approved, and there were 11 contracts issued. There were 10 contracts executed for that list. We have the following contracts that expired during this period under our animal program. Our winter management and consulting contract expired on August 31st and was archived. Our architectural services contracts from 2008, Kevin Daly Architect contract expired on July 7th and was also archived. Our environmental documentation contracts from 2013, there were 3 that expired, and those were AECOM Technical Services, ICF Jones and Stokes Incorporated, and Parsons Transportation Group. Those expired on September 29th and were archived. Our environmental specialty studies on-call list from 2013 had 4 contracts that expired. They were with AECOM Technical Services Incorporated, Environmental Science Associates, Historic Resources Group, and SWCA Environmental Consultants, and those also expired on September 29th, and those were archived. Contracts expiring next quarter include the contract with CH2M Hill Engineers Incorporated. That expires on this Sunday, October 31st. And that contract had $15,990,673 in notice to proceeds were issued. We executed the following amendments: one for the Silver Lake Reservoir Complex with Hargraves Jones Landscape Architecture. The contract has been extended to September 12th of 2023. Our contract for the E2020 document control has also been amended, and that has been extended to July 25th, 2026. Our contract with Metabolic Studio for the LA River Study has been extended to September 28th of 2022. We have the amendment for our landscape architectural services contracts, which was approved by the board on August 27th and extends the contracts through September 2nd, 2023. As yet, we have not executed those amendments. Our contracts with current negative deviations are in the report, and I'll leave those for further review in the report. To summarize, our MBE outreach program has 30 contracts and 22 tasks that are active. For this, so far, we have paid in invoices to MBE subconsultants $7,591,218, or 13% of the contract amounts. Our WBE has received $2,916,457, or 5%. OBEs have received 18% of the funds, for $10,727,000 and $606. Our business inclusion program has 107 contracts with 91 tasks active. MBE amounts are $16,090,133 for 16%. WB $11,920,718 for 12%. SBE for $25,857,218 for 26%. EBE of $17,531,964 for 18%. Disadvantaged business enterprises for 1 million. Disabled veteran business enterprises for $1,565,529 for 2%. And other business enterprises at $15,104,210 or 15%. Our disadvantaged business outreach program has 33 contracts and 17 task orders in process. We have paid to our disadvantaged business enterprises $13 million and $86,634 and 23%. OBE is $5,200,221 or 9%. And Commissioner Good, I appreciate the difficulties sometimes that you experience with reading through the agenda because this gets to be long.
I appreciate your empathy, Greg, and but you got through it. Well done, and thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that. And that closes it for BOE, correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Vandegrift. Thank you very much, Mr. Louie and Mr. Huffman. And last but certainly not least, we have Mr. Carrillo and Ms. Chow for Streets LA.
Do I begin, Melinda, or
Yes.
would you like to take the honors?
You can go ahead and start first. My report is a little longer than yours, so I'll let you go before me.
Thank you, Melinda. And good afternoon, Board of Public Works. My name is Rene Carrillo, Acting Senior Civil Engineer with the Streets LA Construction Services Division. Today I will be presenting on our Streets LA project change orders executed during the third quarter of 2021, which is the period of July 1st through September 31st. Streets LA only has 2 active construction jobs currently, and the first one that I'll be speaking on is the Los Angeles River Headwater Bikeway project rebid. During the third quarter, only 1 change order was executed for an amount of $7,360, which computes to 0.13% of the total contract amount. Overall, this project has had 3 change orders executed, summing to 0.52%. On the second project, the San Fernando Road Bike Path Phase 3 project, 5 change orders were executing during the third quarter, which summed to $174,644.23, which computes to 0.94% of the contract amount, bringing this project to 24 change orders executed throughout its contract and summing to a change order percentage of 6.25%. That is my oral presentation as required by policy 793, and if there's no questions, this concludes my presentation. Thank you, Board.
Thank you, Mr. Carrillo. Your task was more limited than Mr. Vandegrift's. I think you feel good for that. And given that it's change orders, I think we're happy about that as well. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, I'll pass it over to Melinda, and thank you all.
All right. Have a great weekend. Ms. Chow.
Good afternoon again, Commissioners. Thank you, Renee, for passing the baton. So before you is I'm presenting on the status of personal services contracts for the Bureau of Street Services for the period or quarters covering July through September 2021. Just to summarize, we do have 19 active contracts, and we have 5 contracts that were executed or amended this quarter, as well as 5 pending contracts that are in the works. We did have 1 contract that expired in the last 90 days, as well as 1 contract that will be expiring within the next 90 days. There are 9 active task order solicitations, all of which we are using other department or bureaus on-call lists. 1 task was amended or awarded this quarter, or this past quarter, as well as 1 notice to proceed that was issued. I will not cover every single contract that was submitted as part of the report, but I will cover some of the key items that may have changed status.
The first item is the contract for Venice Canal's maintenance, which is actually awarded to Mariposa Landscapes. And that contract had currently, the existing contract had expired and has been, services have been continued on a month-to-month basis. We did get a renewal, actually, we went out to RFP and we have selected and awarded a contractor, which continues to be Mariposa. However, that contract is still undergoing Mayoral Executive Directive 3 review and pending execution. As soon as that contract is executed, we will update the next reports with the current terms of the contract. We do have item number 5, which is for hazardous waste disposal services, which we covered just as part of agenda item number 8 earlier. That's the contract with Clean Harbors to provide routine and 24-hour emergency response hazardous waste management services. That particular contract, as I mentioned, had expired November 1st, 2020, and we are in the midst of trying to extend that to November 1st, 2023, which is basically exercising the second renewal option for 3 years. We do have an upcoming contract that will be expiring, and that is for our coordinated street furniture program with Alfred J.C. DeCole, and that contract will expire December 31st, 2021. An RFP was released, and we are in the process of evaluating award of the contract to the top 2 proposers. We are on target to start a new contract come January 1st. There is one contract with Sterndal Enterprises to provide as-needed freeway off-ramp closure services that had previously expired, and we did go out for RFP, and we executed a new contract with them. That contract was undergoing EG3 review previously, but it had just received the approval for the contract on October 14th, 2021, and that contract has been fully executed, and so we're excited about having them on board now. There were 4 contracts that for landscape median island maintenance, and they are items 11, 12, 13, and 14 on the report. Those contracts originally had a term of 1 year with 2 one-year renewal options. All 4 of those contracts have actually been extended for the second year in various dates throughout September and October. And as I mentioned, there are 5 pending contracts that we are in the process of working on. The first one being with Ecology Auto Parts. That one is to provide heavy equipment transport services, and that contract was actually approved by the board on October 6th. That is currently undergoing Mayoral Executive Directive 3 review and contract execution. And as I mentioned, for Venice Canal's maintenance, which is the second item, that was awarded already, and again is also pending Mayoral Executive 3 review and contract execution. The third one is for LA Trade Tech College, which would be a contract that we are trying to execute under a sole source agreement to provide educational services for the street maintenance technology program. We do have one contract that had actually expired that expired on May 24th, 2021 for pavement survey services, which is basically to survey the pavement condition of our streets on a regular basis. And that contract, because it expired, we are looking to execute, basically piggyback on another city's contract. And that's still in the works. We had contacted the personnel department to conduct a 1022 determination, and that unfortunately, because there are city staff that can potentially do the work, it would need to be referred to CAO for further analysis. One of the sticking points of this is that it does require a survey van that is equipped with special equipment to conduct the work. So even if there are city staff that are available to perform the work, we would still require a van for that service. And that's why we continue to want to contract out for this service. The last contract is with Shaheen and Associates for pavement consultant services. That contract just recently expired on September 13, 2021, and we are working on a new sole source contract with the same vendor to basically continue the service. And that concludes my report. Oh, I'm sorry. There's more to the report. I'm so sorry. So, as I mentioned, we do have 9 task order solicitation contracts, which are again utilizing other department or bureaus on-call contracts. There weren't very many activities for TOSs. We do have one where with Harrison Associates for civil engineering consulting, design, and support services. We are currently authorized to utilize BOE's contractor up to $750,000. We are working with BOE to obtain authorization to basically increase this authorization for another $149,000 for a total of $890,000. There was one item number 9 of the report, which is to provide a feasibility study for our 2028 Olympic Legacy Street Improvements Plan. This contract was awarded to Nelson Nygaard Consulting Associates back in July 30th of 2021, and then we're glad to report that the notice to proceed was issued to this vendor on September 14th. Now that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Chow. Very much appreciated. Thank you, Mr. Carrillo. Any questions, colleagues?
I don't have any questions, but I really appreciate the bureaus submitting all this work to us. It's easy to follow. I know that you all, even Mr. Vandergrift's report that was pretty extensive. So just wanting to let you know that we're following what you're saying and understand it. Thank you.
Agreed, Commissioner Villegas. Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Thank you, Ms. Chow. Thank you, Mr. Carrillo. Thank you, Mr. Vandergrift. Thank you for all the reports. And I think with that, Dr. Campos, I believe we have cleared the decks today. Yes?
Yes, you have.
All right, everybody. Well, as much as I hate to leave you, I am prepared to adjourn. I hope you all have a great Halloween weekend and be safe. Meeting is adjourned.